Finally, tonight, we remember a legendary newsman and pioneer, Bernard Shaw. He died from pneumonia yesterday at the age of 82.
The number one challenge is not just to tell you what and why things happen here, but to explain what developments mean to you.
He was there from the earliest days when CNN began airing around the clock. Bernard Shaw was CNN's first chief anchor.
Bernie was always the consummate newsman.
Former CNN anchor and bureau chief Frank Sesno worked with Shaw starting in the 1980s.
Nobody knew about it, but there was Bernie. He was the grown-up who'd come over from a broadcast network, who'd taken a flyer, who took a gamble on this new dream that Ted Turner had, that there could be 24-hour news.
Always cool under pressure, Bernie covered some of the biggest breaking news stories of his time.
I'll never forget how he was that calm voice, sort of almost doing play-by-play as the Chinese authorities cut CNN's coverage during the Tiananmen Square standoff.
I'm being told that the government officials are coming into the CNN control room now.
From the massacre at Tiananmen Square to the first Gulf War, Shaw was how many viewers learned about history-making developments around the world.
David, this is Bernie.
Go ahead, Bernie.
I'm just crouching down here on the floor to get a better point of observation. The sky over Baghdad is black. You can hear an occasional truck or car go by, but you wouldn't know that there's life outside these windows.
Shaw asked hard questions of leaders around the world and politicians from both parties in the U.S. In a 1988 presidential debate, he surprised then Massachusetts Governor Michael Dukakis.
You have 2 minutes to respond. Governor, if Kitty Dukakis were raped and murdered, would you favor an irrevocable death penalty for the killer?
Sesno says Shaw set the standard for unbiased reporting.
It was integrity. Integrity for himself, integrity for the network, integrity for the story. And if something went wrong, boy, that bothered him, and he would let you know it. And he also was such a deep believer in America and the role that journalism played. He was one of a kind.
The first black anchor for CNN, Bernie was a trailblazer, inspiring a generation of black journalists.
Diversity. Diversity is not racial, ethnic, or gender encroachment. Diversity is our national survival.
Today, we remember Bernie Shaw as a pioneer, an icon among journalists, and as a dear friend.
Thank you.
My friend, my partner. Bernie retired from CNN just over 20 years ago, but thankfully he and his wife Linda stayed in touch. I was fortunate to work alongside him for 8 years there as his co-anchor on a program called Inside Politics and many other ventures, including most memorably election nights. He was, as you just heard, the consummate professional newsman, always a stickler for facts, someone who took the news seriously, held himself to the highest standards, but who also took time to appreciate everyone in the village it takes to report news for television. And of course, he was a pioneer at a time when there were few black journalists at his level. When I think about the two people I was lucky to sit next to as co-anchor for the longest time, Bernie Shaw and later Gwen Ifill, I am overflowing with gratitude. What a gift.